you know, use labels. They care about policy. And here's why I think that's important and good. Because they've done research on this, and when you ask people to define themselves by label, they tend to go much more conservative.
Yeah.
But when you ask them policy, they go way more progressive, which Florida is a perfect example of, right? So that's why I think it's so important, instead of make America great again, make policy matter again, right? And that's why I think it's so important to move away from these labels, because you might be somebody who hates the word socialism, not realizing that the institutions that you love the most, like the police, the military, public schools, are all socialist institutions. So because there is such a lack of understanding of terminology and of what's going on, and because, you know, Americans have been so propagandized for so long, I think it is very astute to go after policy, because there are a lot of progressive policies that surprisingly both the left and the right agree on, and they just don't realize that they agree on it because they're constantly being told day in, day out by their government and by the media that they don't agree, that the other is the enemy. And you saw that, I'm sure you saw that poll that came out where they were like, most Americans are the biggest threat to them. And, you know, that's why I'm so excited about this, because there is something to be said. Like you said, even if there's not an initial win, which I believe that there can be, but even if there isn't, there is something to be said for that political pressure that you can put on these institutions. Because at this point, it's inhumane what's going on, and I talk about this almost every show, but I have family in Cuba, where I was born, and like my aunt is there right now. I cannot send her food, I cannot send her medicine, I cannot send her money. I can't even top up her cell phone anymore. And not only is it the embargo, but there are sanctions on top of that. And so in the middle of a pandemic, you have countries like Cuba and Iran being sanctioned to death, literally, and they can't get medicine. My aunt can't get medicine, she can't get food. I feel so impotent and so powerless that I can't do anything to help her. And when Jen Psaki was asked about this a couple weeks back, she was like, oh, you know, normalizing relations with Cuba is not a priority for the administration right now. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I always go back to, please explain to me how we consider Cuba a terrorist state. First of all, how? Explain that to me, like, how are they a terrorist state? Because nobody will answer that. And second of all, explain to me how it's cool that we sell billions of dollars in arms and aid a genocide in Yemen by selling these arms to Saudi Arabia, and we're all buddy-buddy with them, when they killed one of our Washington Post journalists, Jamal Khashoggi, but Cuba's a problem. Like, somebody just sit down and really go through that with me so that my dumb ass can get it, because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it.
You know they can't. You know they can't.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, look, I'm so, your kind of like righteous anger is like balm to the soul, honestly, and I think that's why you resonate with people. That's why, you know, folks don't like it, but Jimmy resonates with people. Folks are tired of people.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was called a shimmy yesterday. Somebody was like,
that's new.
Your brand made me think of like a female Jimmy. A shimmy.
LOL. I mean, look, the reason people are responding is because they're tired of hearing folks like pundits dispassionately talking about issues that are visceral life or death issues for them in their lives. No one wants to see like a bunch of pundits just like calmly chit-chatting about whether or not the Cuba embargo is a priority for an administration without having any space for any conversation ever about the real life consequences of any of these things. Which is why when Bernie stands up and he's like, you know, this is a human who is